People ask Reddit. Tattoo artists of Reddit, who was your worst tattoo virgin? I'll take this one. I had a client who got a Jesus fish with Greek letters on his chest. I put the stencil on, he looks down, says looks good, and we do the tattoo. Guy sits like a champ through his entire first tattoo. I finish up after about 45 minutes, he checks it out in the mirror and immediately goes pale, starts to sweat and sits down. Dude looks at me and says it's backwards. All shook. I look at his tattoo, look at him on the floor, look at the mirror and tell the guy I'm gonna take a photo of it for you to see, because you don't know how mirrors work. A couple minutes go by as I'm handing the dude paper towels, the guy stands up all quick and tries to play it off like he was just messing with me, even though for a minute there was a corpse on my studio floor. That's hilarious, LMFAO. In Ghana, you didn't point out the mirror effect. So next time he comes in he writes / draws out the plans backwards to get the right effect, ha ha ha. Sterger on. Okay, no lie, that is exactly what happened to one of the football players at my old high school. Our school logo was a capital F between two offset parentheses, it was supposed to look like a hurricane, yes it was stupid, and the moron got the tattoo done so that it looked correct in the mirror. He has yet to live it down, and that was 10 years ago. One shop I worked at, we had a couple come in on the day we did $100 2" by 2" tattoos. They both were getting these small triceratops outline tattoos behind their ears, nothing too crazy or detailed, so maybe about 15 minutes each in the chair at most. The guy is losing his mind, he's hyperventilating, laughing, jumping up and down and yelling questions at all of us, visually very nervous. He tells one of our apprentices that this is his first tattoo and keeps asking them how bad it hurts over and over again. The owner went into the back and grabbed an ammonia packet, worried the guy would pass out the second needle touched skin. Turns out it was this couple's first date. He had told her he was impulsive and she tried to call his bluff and suggested they get matching tattoos. To his credit, he got the tattoo and didn't pass out, paid for them both too. They later got married due to a series of escalating dares. I've made a huge mistake. Ha ha ha, that took a turn that I didn't expect. I'd love to be able to know how the rest of that relationship turned out. I feel like if it didn't work out and it was like one of the last dates, that would be fine, assuming they both like the tattoo on its own merits. Totally fun story. Also, if they get married, that would be fine obviously. But there's a whole lot of room in between those poles. It's not the worst, but I love this one. At the expense of my very good client, I generally use this story to help noobs ease into my chair more comfortably. So it was his first and I'm getting my stencil prepped. He was so nervous, he was basically white. Kept asking if he was good. Yeah, he was okay, I guess. Place the stencil on him and ask him to take a look. He looks at his arm and immediately passes out in the chair, lol. He's sliding out of the chair, we get him back up and he comes to. He got over it, eventually, and has his sleeve, a-okay hand. He's sliding out of the chair, we get him back up. I am physically laughing out loud at this because unconscious people are such big bags of heavy jello. I can fully picture him, just knees buckled and slowly making his descent to the floor before somebody bodily hoists him back into the chair and proceeds as normal. For some reason I pictured Daniel Radcliffe. I was getting lettering and dude finally got to my spine. He asked me how I was doing. I said a little lightheaded, but keep going. He said nope, we are stopping for 15 minutes. I guess he's had a bunch of people pass out on him. Not a tattoo artist, just heavily tattooed and have a lot of friends who are artists. Allow me to tell you the story of Danny the Dummy. Danny at the time of the story was a 21-year-old oil field worker who had more money than sense. He wanted to get an entire sleeve tattoo done but couldn't decide what he wanted. He would come in for a consult. The artist, my friend, would take everything he said and draw up what he wanted, then he would come back and completely change his mind. That's not the reason why he's called Danny the Dummy though. He's called that because, among other things, he never once could remember the name of the animal he wanted to get. He first asked for a lion packet on a mountain with the moon above them and them roaring into it. My artist friend said, "Oh, you mean like the end of Lion King?" And Danny said yes. The next time he came in he said the animal was wrong, and when he showed the picture it was a wolf pack, so my artist friend drew that. Danny comes back and decides he doesn't want that. He instead wants an eagle in flight, so my artist friend draws that, and if you guess the animal was wrong, you're keeping up. He in fact wanted an owl in flight. After this, my artist friend was basically done with Danny. He was going to do this last drawing, and if Danny changed his mind again, he was going to fire him as a customer and blacklist him in his shop. Well, he drew an amazing owl in flight and Danny said he loved it. So finally a date was selected and Danny was going to come in and get it. Well, Danny never showed. About half an hour past his appointment time, my artist friend calls him and Danny says, "Oh damn man, I'm sorry, I'm out of the country today, I'm in North Dakota." The artist is based in Arizona. Danny thought that different states were different countries. Never saw or heard from him again, and my friend ended up putting the owl on a coworker of his that loved the drawing. Did Danny go to elementary school? I can't believe people can be so uneducated on such basic stuff. I see you do not have a job where you have to interface with the general public. I do lol, but most know North Dakota is a state. There's normal everyday stupid, but this is another level. Not the worst client, but just an unfortunate event. The apprentice at my shop who had only been tattooing for a little under a year was tattooing this girl's wrist recently. Her first tattoo, the word undefeated. Gets the tattoo, it goes smoothly, she likes it, walks to the lobby, shows her dad, he likes it. Walks back to get bandaged up, gets bandaged, they walk back to the counter as he's explaining aftercare, she blacks out. Falls back, hits her head on a giant painting hanging on the wall, an Ed Hardy original, the painting falls, glass breaks. He runs over, picks her up and is checking the back of her head. Realizes a giant piece of glass had punctured her shoulder/trap. EMT comes, tell her she needs stitches, they end up having to take her to the emergency room where she got 6 stitches. The next week the girl brought him a giant tub of cookies. She wasn't the worst, but it was an incredibly unfortunate experience for the both of them. His first time having someone pass out and her being defeated. She can claim the tattoo is undefeated. It took her out. Imagine if Mike Tyson knocked himself out with the belt as soon as it's handed to him. Hey, she only fainted after leaving the ring. She's still the champ. There's a few different ways you can go with worst. Is worst most reactive? Is worst most picky and unreasonable? I've been pretty lucky in the grand scheme of things. My worst most reactive, annoying client was this dude who was very clearly a drug addict. He came in, wanted a simple tribal tattoo on his stomach. I saw sure no problem, but he starts haggling me about the price. At first it was $400, then he said no more than $200. We finally settled on $300 after about 20 minutes of back and forth. I get all set up, we start the tattoo, within a minute he says he needs to stand up, that's he's in too much pain and needs to walk around. He walks around for about 2 or 3 minutes, then lays back down, gets tattooed for another couple minutes and then same thing. He does this constantly throughout the entire tattoo. During this time he was constantly scratching his head, twitching all over and complaining loudly. But the worst part wasn't the fact that this 2-hour tattoo turned into almost 4 hours. The worst was that he kept going out for smoke breaks, but kept only taking 2 or 3 puffs, putting the cherry out and then putting the smoke back in his pocket. So all I could smell the entire time was musty cigs. It was ducking disgusting. The cigarette smelled old. If you've ever smelled old cigs you know what I'm talking about. He also kept putting it in the pocket that was right beside my face. No chance I'm haggling with somebody who's about to permanently mark my body. I feel like being a total idiot is more likely to not get you a good deal anyways. When I got my first tattoo, dude charged me $200 for the first session. I was gonna do it in 2 parts, but it ended up not really hurting me and the guy was super cool about it. He was like, if you can keep going I'll keep tattooing you, cuz this piece is sick. Dude just kept tattooing me into the night and finished that. Thank you for listening to another B-Town Reddit Stories episode. Hit the subscribe button and check out our channel for more stories. Let us know your opinion about this topic in the comments.